and I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
Right.
Okay, let's stop there. There's a lot of fake news coming up.
Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar just had an insane meltdown on air while recording The View. And trust me, it was intense. Frustrated by Kamala Harris's faltering campaign and the rise in Trump's popularity, these two icons unleashed a meltdown like we've never seen before. Whoopi called out voters for not making up their minds, while Joy admitted she was on the edge of a total mental breakdown. The tension was raw, the emotions were high, leaving everyone watching wondering how much longer can they hold it together. Watching Kamala Harris's presidential campaign stumble has tested her patience. Goldberg's frustration was evident as she expressed her disbelief over the current state of the political landscape. She looked directly into the camera and voiced her discontent, almost pleading with viewers, saying, "The American people are smarter than what they're given credit for." It was as if she was trying to remind everyone that they can see through political noise and don't need to be spoon-fed their decisions.
Since accepting the Democratic presidential nomination, please welcome back the next president of the United States.
This comment alone reveals so much about her current mindset. Goldberg has long been a fierce advocate for progressive causes, frequently challenging conservative views and urging her audience to engage politically. But this time, it seemed less about partisanship and more about sheer exasperation with the polarized state of the country. Goldberg's disbelief seems rooted in the notion that, after all these years of heated debates, accusations, and promises, the country is still as divided as ever. She appears genuinely baffled that after 4 years of intense political discourse, people remain unsure or hesitant about whom to support. Goldberg's outspokenness is nothing new. It's part of her brand. But this particular reaction underscores a new level of frustration, especially given the stakes of the upcoming election. Her appeal to viewers seemed almost desperate, signaling her belief that these next few months could determine the country's future direction. As someone who has been in the public eye for decades, Whoopi is familiar with navigating media and politics, but her meltdown suggests that even the most seasoned voices can feel overwhelmed by today's political intensity. Goldberg's moment on air reflected the deep-seated frustration that many share but rarely voice so publicly.
Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
So, here's the actual appearance. Watch.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star.
Joy Behar's meltdown on The View was nothing short of raw and intense. She didn't mince words when she admitted that the state of politics has brought her to a complete mental breakdown. This wasn't just another TV segment where she aired her frustrations. It was an open confession of feeling emotionally worn down by what she described as a nightmare scenario. With Harris's campaign faltering and Trump's popularity holding firm, Behar appeared genuinely distressed, as if she could no longer hold back the stress that had been building up over the months. Her candidness on air highlighted just how personal the political landscape has become for many people. And Behar's reaction was a testament to that growing anxiety. Throughout her career on The View, Behar has been an outspoken voice on liberal issues, often fiercely challenging conservative guests and viewpoints. But this particular moment felt different, almost as if her public frustration had transformed into personal despair. She expressed her disappointment in Kamala Harris's struggling campaign, questioning how the vice president, who once symbolized hope and progress for many, has ended up losing ground. Behar's breakdown goes beyond political disappointment. It touches on a personal sense of loss, a yearning for stability, and a desire to sleep peacefully once the election is over. hinting at her exhaustion from years of intense political scrutiny.
I could say everything I needed to say. My face said everything
That
else.
was a good side eye.
Didn't you say you disliked him from even before that, when you first had an encounter with him?
This moment of vulnerability from Behar shows that, like many Americans, she feels personally affected by the uncertainty surrounding the country's political future. Her willingness to openly admit to feeling overwhelmed reveals just how significant these issues are to her. It's not just about policy or political affiliations anymore. It's about wanting a world where she can finally relax, something she feels is slipping away. Behar's admission was a rare, candid moment of vulnerability that highlighted her deep concern over the current direction of the nation. The tension on The View wasn't just a random outburst. It stemmed directly from the growing sense of disillusionment with Kamala Harris's campaign. For Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar, Harris was initially a symbol of progressive change and empowerment, a figure who could challenge the traditional mold of presidential candidates. But as Harris's campaign has struggled to gain traction, with missteps and public hesitations along the way, her once enthusiastic supporters are beginning to feel the strain. Harris's choice to avoid certain public engagements, like declining an invitation to appear on Joe Rogan's show, has added to the growing criticism she faces, casting doubt on her willingness to reach broader audiences.
Than being the president of the United States, because what you can't do, and what they did for years, which is why people got up and said, you can't talk to me like this anymore. You can't talk about me like this anymore.
This decision not to go on Rogan's show, a platform with millions of listeners across diverse demographics, was particularly frustrating for those hoping to see Harris expand her appeal. Her supporters, especially media personalities like Goldberg and Behar, view this as a missed opportunity for her to address doubts and present her platform to potential voters who might be on the fence. Whoopi and Joy's frustration reflects a sense of hopelessness, a feeling that Harris's team isn't doing enough to counteract the momentum building behind Trump's campaign. The disappointment is evident, as they likely hoped Harris would seize every chance to connect with the American people and sway undecided voters. Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar have always been vocal advocates for civic duty, and in this particular segment of The View, they use their platform to urge viewers to get out and vote. Despite the frustration they openly express toward the political scene, they are convinced that casting a ballot is the only way to bring about meaningful change. Their appeal wasn't just a routine reminder, it was a passionate plea aimed at empowering viewers who might feel discouraged or disillusioned by recent events. Goldberg and Behar made it clear that while they may have their disappointments and criticisms of the current political landscape, they believe voting is crucial to steering the country in the right direction. Their stance reflects a belief that a high voter turnout is the key to defeating candidates and policies they oppose. For Whoopi and Joy, this election isn't just about choosing between two candidates. It's about safeguarding values they believe are under threat. By emphasizing the importance of voting, they're signaling that every individual's voice counts, especially during these turbulent times. They spoke directly to viewers, encouraging them to take their frustrations to the polls rather than staying home in dismay. Voting, they argued, is a direct way to drive positive change, even when the path forward seems cloudy. This call to action seemed like one final push to sway public opinion toward their favored candidates. Goldberg and Behar's encouragement to get out and vote was less about partisanship and more about a commitment to democratic principles. Their message was clear. No matter where one stands on the political spectrum, voting is a powerful tool for making one's voice heard. By casting a ballot, viewers could potentially shape the future they want. And for these two hosts, that future is one rooted in inclusivity and progress. Their urging was a call to action, a final plea to remind people that, even in challenging times, participating in the democratic process remains essential.
The president asked to be shown the birth certificate. When you become a president of the United States of America,
Okay, listen.
you know that he's
let him
American.
show
I'm
his
sorry,
birth
that's
certificate.
BS. Look, this show has allowed all kinds of people to come on.
Vice President Kamala Harris recently made waves by openly labeling Donald Trump a fascist, a statement that has since sparked significant discussion. For Harris supporters, this bold labeling is seen as a necessary move to call out perceived threats to democratic values. But for critics, it appears overly provocative, even divisive. Joy Behar quickly showed her support for Harris's statement, suggesting that Trump's rhetoric and actions align with authoritarian tendencies that should alarm the public. Whoopi Goldberg chimed in with her perspective, insisting that Democrats can no longer afford to tiptoe around these issues. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.